All right, how's everybody doing? Johnny stretching it out, good. Predatory Rock Beach,
Well.
Vegas treat you well.
That's good on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, guys, as always, appreciate you guys' time. Proud of our team, man. Thank you, Jesus, for the victory. Give him all the glory, man. I'm proud of our guys. We're going to continue to get better, and we need to. That was a hard-fought game Friday night, and we knew going in that it was going to be a heavyweight battle. We think the world of Coach Odom and his team and what he's built there, and we knew we had to get ready to roll. And it went back and forth in that game. I mean, there's multiple plays in the game. You know, it's 10-3. They got the ball in the red zone. I mean, potentially about to go up 17-3. We were able to get a big-time sack, miss the field goal. Like, there's just a lot of plays back and forth that you see in a game and showing our team just the resiliency of our guys. I mean, we're down the fourth quarter against a really good team on the road, crowds rocking, and being able to respond the way we did and finish the game, being able to finish the first half the way we did with an interception, going for it on fourth down, our guys executed, and, I mean, finishing the game with an 8-minute drive on offense. That's the mentality of this team. That's the mentality of all three phases in our guys, and that's how they work. I mean, no different today. Today is a Tuesday practice. We're outside working our tails off. Our guys are grinding. And we don't run from hard work. That doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect. Obviously, we watch the film and it's not. We got a lot of things for us to continue to learn and grow in all three phases. But I love this team. I'm so proud of them for what they've done to this point. We even talked about what's entitlement look like, because entitlement can creep in when you're having success. Entitlement is thinking what has happened in the past has some correlation to the future, and it doesn't. Each week is a new week. Our team is a new team every week. We got to learn and grow in everything we do. But I'm proud of our guys, the fight that they had Friday night, and I'm excited for our guys to continue to learn and grow and improve. We got a big-time test coming here on the Blue Friday night. They're undefeated in Mountain West Conference play, so are we. It's going to be a big matchup. And the last time the Aztecs were on the Blue, they beat the Broncos on the Blue. I was a part of that. And we can't let that happen, and they're going to have every right to come in here and beat us, and we got to earn the right to protect the Blue on Friday night. And so Bronco Nation showed up in a major way down in Vegas. When I looked behind me and I saw the sea of blue and orange down in Vegas, it was, I mean, it brings tears to my eyes, the support we have from this community, from our players' parents, what this means to them. And I know on the Blue Friday night, Bronco Nation, this place is going to be sold out. We need you there early. We're going to stripe the stadium. We haven't done it in a while, so I know our fans will show up and be loud, and we need you. And we're all in this together. So excited where we're growing to. Got a lot of things to continue to improve on, and we will.
You talked after the game Friday about the aggressiveness on fourth down, and you guys are one of the top 10 teams now in the country on fourth down conversion. What's your general philosophy really when deciding on whether to go for it on those fourth downs?
Yeah, try and go in every game, and every game is different. Every game is different on, okay, where are situations that we're going to go for it? What are those parameters? If it's 4th and 1, 2, whatever, where is it out on the field? And that is my job as head coach, to go in with a plan. And obviously, just like anything, plans can change depending how a game is going, good or bad. And I've got to do a really good job evolving with it. But the testament goes to our players and the plan put together from Coach Koetter and our staff. I mean, the easy part is on me. Hey, we're going for it. That's easy. The hard part is going out there and executing. 4 for 4 on fourth down in that game. Monster plays in the game. And as our players going out there and execute, I mean, one of the catches that Matt Lauder had on the corner route on 4th and 2, I mean, big-time catch. He's getting draped all over by the defender, makes the catch. I mean, there's multiple plays in that game on fourth down that if you don't get those, we don't execute, who knows how that game turns out. And so all the credit goes to our players and the plan put together by Coach Koetter and our O staff, and having the confidence to be able to go out there and execute fourth down.
Does that confidence increase as you convert them? Yeah,
absolutely does. The more we and execution creates momentum. Execution creates momentum. There's times in that game where the momentum, we lost it because UNLV executed. Our guys stood in the fight, kept swinging, had some execution, and we go on to get the momentum back. I mean, no different. We start the fourth quarter. We're down a score. First play, big-time explosive play to Cam Camper. Personal foul penalty, tack on another 15. Next play, execution to Matt Wagner. Big-time hit, lands, catch it. I mean, execution creates momentum, and that's what we're able to do in the fourth quarter. I'm proud of our guys.
Are you more of a gut feeling kind of guy on those fourth downs, or do you rely on an analytical chart? I don't think I've
Johnny,
ever asked you that.
Yeah, Johnny, I'd say both. We definitely work with analytics, and it gives me a really good frame of reference. But I got to evolve through the game. There's a lot of gut situations. I use the analytics as a frame of reference. Okay, what are the analytics saying here? And then what is going on in this game? Where's the momentum at? What was my plan going into the game in regards to these situations and when to go for it? So it's both, Johnny. It's using the book, the analytics, but also it's a gut feel. Because at the end of the day, however it goes, good or bad, it's all on me, and I got to be good with those decisions.
Spencer, when it comes to that, like, I know you say, like, the guys are doing it in practice, but, like, there had to have been something that even preceded that, right? So, like, why was this so you know, it's really become a part of your identity, executing on fourth downs, things like that. So, like, what set that up before taking it to practice in that mentality?
Yeah, I mean, even from January to now, Jay, I mean, looking at it, I know, you know, my personality, who I am, is, you know, I'm high energy, intense, passionate all the time, and I want to be on the attack. I want, when a team plays us, to feel like they are being attacked, not trying to survive. Like, I want all three phases. They're going to get our best, and that's no different for me as a head coach, to our coordinators, to our coaches. And so even from January now, working through the plan, working through situational football in regards to end of half, end of game, fourth down, when to go for it. You know, a lot of these special situations we work through a lot, so that when you're in them, you're ready for these moments. And a lot of it comes from, there's a lot of times that I have not done a good job in these situations, so I've needed to learn and grow. And I'm excited where we're growing too. But a lot of it, like I said, the easy part is me saying we're going for it here. The execution is on our offensive staff and our players executing it in these critical moments. And on the flip side, I mean, our defense had a huge fourth down stop in the game. So it goes both ways. And you look at college football, I mean, fourth downs are way higher than they've ever been. Yes, due to analytics. And guys use that as a frame of reference. Some guys stick to the book no matter what. I'm a blend. I use the book as a frame of reference, and I do a lot of, you know, going through it a lot throughout the week. But when I go in the game, this is where I feel, and I make sure the coordinators know, hey, guys, this is us. And I make sure our team knows, hey, fellas, if we get to this, you know what the call is. We're going for it. Like, end of story, you don't even need to look. So our guys know the confidence and the edge we're playing with so that they can stay in rhythm.
Tell us or whatnot, but can you give us one where you said that, you know, maybe the book didn't say it, but you were like, no, I'm confident in my team and I want to go for it?
There's been probably a couple different moments, maybe in that game as well, Jay, at a couple. And there's been times where you know, analytically it's this is a go here, and it's not for me. And I knew that going into the game. I knew that because of either how the game went or just going into the parameters I have. And so we punt the ball away. So it just depends on, each game is a new week, and our team's a new team every week. And so I got to do a really good job throughout my prep to make sure as we go into a game that, you know, we're ready for those moments. But just like anything, I mean, if we go in that game and we're 2 of 4 on fourth down, everybody's telling me I'm stupid. That's the reality of college football. And I get it. And that's the razor's edge that I got to live on, knowing that when we make a decision to go for it, I got to be okay if it goes sideways too. And that's me evolving throughout a game with our team. I'm having the confidence for us to go out there and execute.
I mean, you look at times early in the season was getting criticized a little bit. At times, second, big passing plays, whatever. And then you give up 10 points, 130 yards, first 2 drives. I mean, for them to block that in and only give up 11 points, that fourth quarter stop, the 6 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. I mean, what can you say about the defense?
Yeah, I'm proud of them. We're continuing to get better, BJ, and we still got to eliminate explosive plays. I mean, in that game, there were 7 explosive plays that UNLV had against us. That equaled 240 yards in 7 plays. They had, 360 total offense, something around there? So you think in 7 plays? So that's how when we talk about eliminating explosive plays. That one triple option play, that was one of the top rep plays in practice. We didn't execute in the game, went for 71 yards. So we've got to continue to do a good job as a defensive staff and our players taking what happens in practice to a game. But what I am very proud of, to your point, BJ, our guys responding. It was not perfect, but our guys responded, stayed in it. A lot was thrown at them on Friday night, and they stayed in it, stood together, and that was a really talented offense we knew we were going against. I mean, one of the top scoring offenses in the country, and I'm proud of our guys, and I'm proud of how they showed up to work today.
Looking at San Diego State, a couple players stick out as far as amongst the leaders in the NCAA. Cooper, the running back, what makes him special? What can he do? And then Trey White, the defensive end, with 11.5 sacks.
Yeah, I think first off, and I got to keep reiterating, I mean, this is a really good football team we're playing. I mean, they got a new staff. Sean Lewis has done a great job, and we know they're going to continue to get better. He's an offensive head coach. And even prior to the season now, I mean, we're looking at what he did at Kent State, what he did as the offensive coordinator at Colorado, what he's done this year, because they're continuing to evolve as he gets the majority of his offense in. And so we're going to make sure we're ready for all those scenarios. But they're getting better each and every week. I mean, you can see the trajectory of this team. He's done a really good job with them. And they got Washington State on the absolute ropes. I mean, that they're up big in the fourth quarter. And so that's a testament to who they are as a team. And we know we're going to get their best. They're undefeated in Mountain West play. At this point, that's all we look at. They're undefeated. They're coming to the blue. And I do put a premium on the fact the last time we played the Aztecs, they beat us on the blue. That cannot happen. I mean, that we put an absolute premium on protecting the blue, protecting our home, and we got to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, in regards to who they are, I mean, they got weapons in all three phases, including special teams. Obviously, Trey White, when you lead the nation in sacks, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I mean, he's a sophomore, I believe, from San Diego. I mean, he's explosive in the run game, in the pass game. We always got to know where he's at. And they really play well together defensively. I mean, they're one of the top scoring defenses in the country as well. I mean, you look at whoever they played, they've done a really good job in regards to scoring defense. So we know they got DBs that can cover. They got a great front. They will create a lot of pressure on our quarterback. We got to be ready for that. On the flip side, offensively, I mean, Sean Lewis gives you a lot of different looks, and he wants to run plays as fast as he can. And you got to deal with all the space. You got to deal with RPOs, a bunch of different game plan run schemes. We're going to see they do a really good job looking at our what has hit us in the past, and we know we're going to see those plays on film. And their O-line coach, Mike, he's one of the best O-line coaches on the West Coast. Known him for a long time, and so we know they're very well coached. They're going to be ready to go. They had some guys that didn't play against Washington State. They will be playing against us, and so we're going to be attacked in a lot of ways. And their running back's one of the better running backs in the country. I mean, he's 5'8", 200-some pounds. He's extremely low center of gravity, very explosive runner. He's been a couple different stops, and he's good. I mean, we got to be ready to tackle one of the better running backs we'll see all year.
So you've only been a head coach for 11 games still. Just how much are you still learning every single game just about being a head coach?
I'm learning, great question. I'm learning every single minute. I promise you, I'm probably learning something from this press conference right now, and it's going to be no different. I mean, I am a firm believer that to be the best version of yourself, it's all about learning and growing. And that's either me picking the brain of our staff, which we have a phenomenal staff, picking the brain of our players, calling people. I do a lot of analyzing after a game in a game week of how's our operation, how was the messaging, where's the culture of our team, so I can learn and thrive because I got to be the best I can be for our team going into game 8 too. So I'm a constant work in progress, and I want to be that way forever. I want to be that way 20 years from now. I want to be working my tail off to find little ways that I can continue to turn the temperature up in regards to me being a head coach because our players deserve that.
Maybe a little deep, but before your first game as head coach, is there something that you know now that you didn't know then, or something that you drastically changed? What's one of those big differences even between now and then? Yeah,
I don't know if there's any, big differences, but I believe all little things do equal big things. And that's where from the first day I was a head coach to now, I'm looking at even the littlest things in our operation, how we can make it more efficient, how we can make it to where we can serve our players better, how we can grow them off the field better, and how we can create even better plans in all three phases. So I am hyper involved with anything that touches our players. And we have the best staff in the country across the board, but those are the things that I'm involved in, from nutrition to hydration to where anything that touches our players, I'm trying to find better ways to do it, and starting with me, because I want this place to be a place where young men can grow and thrive, to be better husbands, better fathers. But to do that, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So I'm always finding ways to turn that temperature up on our players to make sure they know you walk in this building, I want to have a smile on your face, but you better get your mind right because I'm going to be on you the second you walk in to make sure we crank them up higher.
Spencer, with not to bring him up, but last year, whether it be Memphis or Colorado State or some of these games where you guys did not finish well. Mm-hmm. You guys are finishing well this year, and I mean, for the most part, you guys have won every fourth quarter. It seems like there's an obvious answer, I guess, with the man behind the podium. But what is the difference?
It's our players, Jay. I mean, I if I get that credit, that's false. It has nothing to do with me. It's our players and how they work, and to finish these games the way they're finishing now. And I know I'm beating a dead horse, but it just goes back to how these guys train from January to now, to be able to finish everything they do, how they finish practice, how they finish meetings, because that's what we focus on. And they deserve the credit. I mean, there's no magic potion in regards to finishing these games or anything that I say that gets them to do it. It's they love each other and they put the work in. No different today of practice. And today's practice by no means was some perfect, easy practice. Our guys go out there and grind. And no different. We put a premium on finishing practice the right way. The last scout team period or the last period we have, we need your absolute best because in the fourth quarter, that's where championship teams win games. But our players deserve all the credit. It's how they work. It's how they train. And we got to continue to find ways to grow that too. We got to find ways to make sure we're not down in the fourth quarter too, right? So always looking at ways. But JR, this is a great group of guys, man. I'm not going to sit up here and start crying. It's too early for that. But I mean, the respect I have for these kids and these coaches, the work they put in, the love they have for each other, the smiles they give each other, even when they're doing hard. You can do hard things and still have a lot of fun when you're doing it with people you love and care about. I mean, they deserve all the credit. We're going to continue to get better.
Ashton obviously had to do it a different way on Friday night. And your thoughts on his performance and any concerns about that left arm, left hand, left elbow, whatever the hell's going on there?
Yeah, Mike. I mean, Ashton's an absolute warrior. I mean, there's times in that game where, I mean, he's, everybody on that defense gets a shot at him. And he's an absolute warrior, never flinched. Even when he injured his arm in the game, he stayed in the fight, didn't miss one rep. And he's a guy that lives in the training room and was practicing today. And that's a testament to who he is. But I'm so proud of the young man, who he is as a player, who he is as a man of character, even off the field and how he leads. And there's even things in that film that he needs to continue to grow and get better because that's who he is. He's relentless. He's a guy that's a relentless competitor that wants to continue to improve. And there was even a play on Friday night where Ashton slipped. And you better believe I showed that clip to the team. And I'm like, Ash, are you kidding me? And our guys are looking around like, what? Coach is yelling at Ash, but it's like, that's how it is. And that's who he is. He wants to be pulled higher, and he's going to continue to grow and evolve. But if I were to encapsulate Ashton's performance on Friday, to me, he's a warrior.
Yeah. What's the quarterback play like for you, head coach, the way it's been operated?
I'm proud of Maddox. I'm really proud of Maddox, Johnny, and I can say that without saying everything's perfect. It's not. I mean, Maddox is a redshirt freshman that's getting better week to week, and there's plays in that UNLV game that he missed, but there's a lot of plays that he made in that game that's a testament to his prep and who he is as a competitor. I mean, no sacks. Yes, our offensive line, tight ends, tailbacks protecting, but a lot of it's Maddox getting the ball out. He's got a really good time. He's got a good timer in his head to know what he's got and when he can get the ball out. No interceptions against a defense that leads the country in interceptions. So these are stats that won't usually directly correlate that people look to the quarterback play, but it is. And so I'm proud of Maddox, and I know the competitor he is. I know he's going to continue to look at the things that he struggled with on Friday night, but I'm proud of him. I got full trust in him. I'm excited for him to continue to grow.
Back to Trey White. I mean, you got your offensive line has had a lot of success protecting the quarterback. When you face a guy like him, do you have to make much? I know you're not going to say much about specifics, but do you have to adjust for him, or do you kind of just don't fix what's not broken?
Yeah, we got to have a lot of answers for Trey White. I mean, when you lead the nation in sacks, we're crazy to not have answers and switches for him. I mean, we need to, and so we'll be ready for him. Our scout team's going to do a really good job as best they can, giving us the best look, and it's on us to schematically and what we do to make sure we're ready to play him because he's done a really good job.
I don't know if you can say anything about it, but when Ash goes down, there was a moment there of serious concern, but he barely missed he almost played every friggin' offensive snap in that game. So I don't know if you could, any stories of what went into that and checking with him and him just continues saying, nah, I'm good.
He's a warrior, Jay. I mean, even after that play, I mean, he comes off, and we have protocols when someone comes out off the game with whatever injury it might be. And our head trainer, Garrett Hawley, does a phenomenal job, checks him out. And Ash is like, I need to get back in the game. I need to. And he did. And he's a warrior, absolute warrior.
You guys are a little bit, I mean, going into the season, the way football is, he was like 5 deep at running back. I mean, it just seemed like you guys were so deep. And
Change quick.
It changes quick. And I mean, maybe stuff changes in the near future or whatever, but what does like a guy like Dylan Riley or somebody need to do to say, maybe 33 can be 29 carries for Ashton or just something like that?
Yeah, Tyler Crow's done a really good job too, and he's going to continue to have a part of our offense, and he deserves it. He's done a really good job on special teams too. And Dylan Riley is a true freshman. I mean, the more he practices, the more he preps, the confidence we have in him continues to rise because we see him. He had a really good practice today. And so the more he does that, the more he builds the trust of his teammates, and we put an absolute premium on practice performance. He's been doing it in practice, needs to continue to grow, but he's going to get a shot. He's going to continue to get a shot. Hopefully we get Breezy back here this week. He was able to do a lot of practice today, so we're excited to get him back. And Sire Gaines is continue to work his tail off in the training room to get healthy too. So we're going to get those guys back at some point. We got who we got right now, and that's football. At any position, if someone gets injured, carry the flag. No one's going to feel sorry for us. Carry the flag, next man up, let's go to work. And we're going to put the ball down on Friday night, and whoever we got to line up, we'll be ready to go. And that's no different with the running backs. And we're proud of our guys performing in practice. But I think, Dylan Riley, our 2 freshmen, he's going to be stinking really good. And he's getting better every single week.
Well, penalties hasn't been like a huge problem, but there were a couple in the first half that really stalled some drives there. How obviously you won, so you got by it, but is that one of those things too where you can go back and say,
yes. No, BJ, penalties for sure. There's 2 false start penalties, 2 holding penalties that absolutely get us behind the chains. And it's very hard to be efficient when you're playing behind the chains. And we were not great on first down against UNLV. So now you're playing 2nd and 11, 2nd and 12, and then you throw a penalty on top of that. It hurts you. And one of them called back a touchdown. And so something we got to improve. It's something that we talked about yesterday as a team is we got to make sure we fix, especially the procedural penalties. Those are fixable. And then the fundamentals and techniques to where we don't have holding calls. It's a huge deal for our offense to stay efficient. And we have penalties you can't.
With Maddox obviously not taking sacks, you don't have a lot of negative plays. Yep. How much common sense when you're not having the penalties and you're getting positive yards, especially like you said on first down, how much is that the key to your offense?
It's the key to everybody's offense, especially for us, BJ, because we are going to run the football. We're going to establish a run game all the time. That is what we work our tail off to do. And obviously every single defense we play, their number one goal is to stop the run. End of story. And so we know that going in, that's going to be the battle. But if you have penalties, if you have tackles for loss, if you're not efficient on first down and you're playing 2nd and long, it's really hard to do that. Because then if you're not efficient on 2nd and long, now you're defending 3rd and long, which happened also a lot in the game. It was our worst game all season in regards to 3rd down on offense. And a lot of that's correlated because we're playing 3rd and long instead of 3rd and manageable, 3rd and short, which is much higher execution rate. So things we got to improve. And that's what we do after every single game. We won the game, proud of our guys. But in my team meetings and our position meetings yesterday, it was what did we learn? One of those is the penalties. One of those is the plays that we need to have to be efficient. One of them was the explosive plays on defense, because this is the only way we're going to learn and grow. And championship teams can learn from their wins. They don't need to lose for it to be like, oh, I guess now what coach has been talking about matters. No, you got to learn from your wins. And you got to be as intentional when you win to grow the areas that you need to as a loss.
The way that you guys pressure, I can't remember if it was after the first or second game of the year, but you said there's certain situations where you have inside leverage that's non-negotiable. I need you an inside leverage. With the way that you guys pressure, how much is all that stuff starting? How much has it been connecting for you in order to get home to the quarterback the way you guys do?
We're improving, Jay. We are. We're improving from the back end and the front end working together, because yes, we've given up explosive pass plays and we need to grow those. That is a direct correlation to fundamentals and techniques, leverages. But a lot of these sacks we're getting, there's nowhere to go with the football either. And Amari McCoy had his best game on Friday night. And he followed Ricky White around and he played his best game. Still a lot on there, missed a couple tackles. There's still a lot of things that Amari needs to grow on, but he played his best game. He's also been having his best practices as a Bronco the past month too. And so, but with our defense, it has to work together. It's not, all right, this is what the pressure is going to be, and then the back end figure it out, or vice versa. Defense is all about 11 guys working together. If 10 are on the same page and one guy's doing his own thing, it's going to be explosive. And that happened against UNLV. There's some times where there's 10 guys doing exactly what we want. One guy's freelancing, explosive play. And that can't happen. Cannot happen. And so we've got to look at his coaches. And instead of just saying this to our team, we're evolving in practice. There's some different things we're doing in practice to turn the stress up on our guys defensively. So in those stressful moments, what they performed in practice will show up in the game.
What do you feel like Jeremiah's been playing his last couple of games?
He's improved. He's played. I think he had one of his best games on Friday night. I'd say one of his 2 best games on Friday night. And he's a guy that same thing, just continually works. There were some plays throughout this season that he missed that we need him to make, either tackles or coverage. And he made them on Friday night. And we need that from him. I think Devon Banks is playing at a much higher level. Like our corners are improving a lot. Coach Demo does a really good job with them. And we have enough. And now it's just continue to fine tune some of those details. Because different than D tackle and different than linebacker, if a corner or a safety screws up, the whole stadium knows. And that's just the razor's edge that they live on. That's playing DB. And they've grown a lot. And even today at practice, man, the urgency was high, and we're continuing to grow.
Can you tell us about maybe the interior offensive line too? I mean, Jason finally gets a start. I think you lasted 6 plays or something like that. So you're back to Holmes, your right guard. You're down to third stringer there at times. It's kind of what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, we play a violent game. And especially in the fronts on both sides, O-line and D-line, we play an absolute violent game, and it's next man up. I mean, it breaks your heart when guys get hurt or miss a little bit, but it's next man up. And our guys that jumped in that game worked their tails off and did some really good things. And we worked well together. We were able to establish a run game. Wasn't perfect by any means. There's some things we need to clean up. We're able to protect Maddox. And so I'm proud of those guys gelling together. I mean, when you got the senior leader like a Ben Dooley out there, I mean, Ben Dooley's an absolute warrior. I mean, what he does at practice, what he does in the games, and not by any means that Ben Dooley's perfect, but man, how he leads, how he's just, relentless. Him and Cage on our left side, I mean, that's tough to deal with. And seeing our guys continue to grow and work together with a bunch of different guys rotating in, I'm proud of those guys, John. Coach Keene does a phenomenal job with our O-line, and it's next man up. We've got more than enough. And that's what I tell our coaches in every single situation. We got more than enough. Next man up, carry the flag. The standard is extremely high to play football for us. And whoever takes the field on Friday night will be ready.
Jaden Virgin Morgan has had multiple sacks in 3 of the last 4 games for you guys now. And you talk about getting better every week. How much of an example of that is he?
Jaden Virgin Morgan is playing his absolute best football these past 2 weeks. End of story. And I cannot be more proud of him. It's because he does it in practice. I mean, if you just take time to watch the entire game and watch Jaden, I mean, he's playing relentless. Hawaii and UNLV. Now it's our job as coaches to continually turn the heat up and make sure he doesn't get complacent, which today at practice, he worked his tail off. So, but I got to give Jaden a shout out. I mean, he's playing absolute relentless these past 2 games. I mean, that double throwback in the game, if Jaden doesn't retrace on the quarterback and tip it, it is a walk-in touchdown. I mean, he could have bear crawled to the end zone as a touchdown. And Jaden, super savvy football player, saw the quarterback roll out late. He smelled a rat. He put his foot in the ground and was able to get a tip of the ball and turned out to be incomplete. But Jaden Virgin Morgan's playing at a very high level.
Have you noticed opposing defenses kind of focusing more on him, whereas opposed to the beginning of the season, they might focus more on Ahmed?
Yeah. Well, now you got to kind of pick your poison because Ahmed's playing at a high level too. So you can see, I mean, we're putting guys in conflict. Then our D tackles are doing some good things, and Coach Chins will blitz people from everywhere. I mean, corners, safeties, they're coming from everywhere. And so it's both sides. I mean, Jaden and Ahmed, I'm very proud of how they played. But now we still have to continue to grow on how we finish on the quarterback. We had 6 sacks. Fellas, we probably missed 7 in the game. So we have to improve that. We're going to continue to see mobile quarterbacks. We'll see 2 real mobile quarterbacks against San Diego State.
Yeah, maybe the most important question. What's the plan for Halloween? It's the day before the game. So what's the plan? Are you going to get your coaches out of here for a couple hours, or how's that going to work?
Jay, we got to figure it out. We'll work through it. We'll have our normal pregame stuff with our players. When our players go to the hotel, our coach will have time to go trick or treat with their families, and you need that. You can't miss those moments. And we got, a bunch of our staff have young kids, so trick or treating is going to be full force. I know my daughter's little Rosie is going to be a tiger, and Ellie is going to be a rainbow unicorn. And so I don't know what I'm going to be. I'll probably show up Thursday night and Rachel will say, wear this. I'll be like, are you sure about this? But you can't miss those moments, man. I mean, we got to be husbands and fathers, and that's also how we lead to show our players what it looks like too. But we can't miss those moments. And we'll find a way to get some time with them Thursday night before the game.
Best Halloween when you were a kid?
Oof. Man. It had to be somewhere on the lines of like a Peter Pan or I probably was some sort of cowboy with some guns. I can't think of one that I know this is a couple years ago, maybe 2019. And our daughter, our Rosie wasn't born yet. It was Ellie, or sorry, probably 2021. and Rachel, we were essentially the donut people. So Rachel wore a big donut, our little Ellie wore a big donut, and my wife brought me a Krispy Kreme hat, and I wore a donut as I'm walking around the neighborhood. It was embarrassing for me, but I was smiling and laughing, and that's what it was. And I'll probably might wear the donut costume again. We'll find out.
All right. Yeah. Well,
You, Johnny.
I know how close you are with Scott Matlock and how exciting it must be. I mean, he had a sack and a reception in an NFL game, and he's one of the most popular players on the team, and he's just like this folk hero. Like, how cool is that for you?
Oh man, I adore Scotty. I love him dearly. I mean, he's family to me forever. And seeing what he's doing now in the NFL, I mean, that's who he was at Boise State. And so when he went to the NFL, and when I talked to the scouts, Charger scouts or guys that are around him, like, man, Scotty's killing, is everything we want. I'm like, that's who he is. That's who he is. That's how he works. That's how he is as a teammate. That's how his habits are. And so seeing him do it on the biggest stage in the NFL, it's a testament to his work and who he is. But I love Scotty. I mean, the best is yet to come for him. And I think the absolute world of him. Thanks, guys. Right.
That 8-minute drive, how did it come together? Your thoughts on looking at it, and that essentially won you guys the football.
We were just fighting for survival. I was thinking we needed to score a touchdown. So, we didn't, until we got across the 50, we weren't even really thinking that much about the clock with that, just the way that game had gone. We'd been up, we'd been down. So I was thinking we needed to get points. With a 5-point lead, I was thinking if we could at least make it to the 35-yard line. That's roughly the line we're shooting for field goal range. And so that you don't ever start off with 8 minutes thinking you're going to kill it. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
How impressive was that, though, to be able to do that and not give it back?
Yeah, again, the way we finished getting down the 75-yard touchdown drive and then the 8-minute one at the end, you're not thinking of it like that in the game. You're just thinking of what do we need to do to get the lead or to get, above a 1-score game. And, credit, we made the plays we needed to make. That wasn't always the prettiest execution by us on offense. They have a good defense, number one, but we made the plays we needed to make.
Closing it out with a 4th down conversion, your 4th of the game. Just how much confidence do you have in that unit to convert those, and what goes into just kind of deciding when to go for it and when to kick?
Well, Coach D, that's Coach D. Coach D's, he's working his analytics, and him and Dimitri got their Encyclopedia Britannica book out there that they're looking in. We go over all those situations, and Coach D's been doing a great job of letting me know at the start of a drive, mid-drive. He's always telling me what the go number is. So, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm scared to death every time it's 4th down, but that's football. That's what we live in these days. It's an analytics world, and Coach D's handling it great.
Is that mostly his call, or do you kind of chime in?
No, that's his call all the way. Yeah.
To go, I mean, knock on wood for you there, but you guys have converted 9 in a row on 4th down. Like, what does it take to have that consistent success, high pressure down?
Well, I'd say in this last game we needed to be better on 3rd down. We had our worst 3rd down game. Again, credit UNLV's defense for that. The other thing is we were behind the chains a lot. We had more 3rd and longs. The way we break it up, 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, 3rd and extra long. We were in 3rd and long and 3rd and extra long the most we have been all year. And the longer it gets, the lower your percentage of converting. We got behind on a couple penalties in the first half. We had a couple of procedural penalties. So let's start it with not getting behind the chains. Let's not get in 3rd and long. If we do, the fourth and short is the new 3rd and short in the analytic world. Once you get to that thing, and that's that point on the book. And I'm happier when we're not in that situation.
Maddox has been, I mean, you look at his numbers on 4th down, and he's literally been nearly perfect. What is about him on 4th down? And then he jokingly said after the game when you first saw him that he didn't know. He said that you didn't know whether to hug him or punch him at times. So your dynamic.
Yeah, he shouldn't be sharing that stuff. I say some crazy things to Mad Dog sometimes, and he shouldn't be telling everybody that. But Mad Dog has a unique ability to make the play that needs to be made at the right time. I have very high expectations of that kid. I have a very high standard for that kid. So he still hasn't played his best. He's going to play better. I know he will. But he played pretty good at times. I mean, he makes plays you don't expect him to make. Like, we didn't have it dialed up for him to go on the 40-yard run to set up the first field goal. We didn't have it dialed up for him to run the 8-yard touchdown in on third down. I mean, those are plays he's making above and beyond the call of duty. So we trust that guy a lot. We trust him to make the right decisions at the right time. And in this particular game, he did that.
When Maddox said that, I had a little Bart Hendricks flashbacks. And he ended up being the two-time conference player of the year. So how would you describe your relationship with Maddox?
I trust him a lot. I mean, he's sharp. Like, I can talk to him the same way that we talk in the offensive staff room with the coaches. I talk to him like I talk to the coaches. And Mad Dog's one of those guys that you can tell him something once and he not only he gets it, but he remembers it at the right time, because we only get these guys a certain amount of time during the week, and there's a lot of what ifs every week. Like, what if they're in this? What if they're in base defense? What if they're in nickel defense? What if it's a blitz look? There's a lot of what ifs, and we can only practice so much stuff, so we have to cover a fair amount of it in meeting time. And he sees stuff on tape, he can retain it. He hears stuff in meetings, he can retain it, and then not only retain it, but then the ability to make the play when we need it.
What do you see with all of the analytics in the game nowadays? It's analytics, it's telling you to go for 4th or not go for 4th. Do you like that, or do you prefer just going with your gut?
I've come to like it more. I used to hate it. I hate it that you guys know all about it now, because then everybody says, well, the book said, and the announcers say it, you guys say it. Like, if you guys knew what the book really said, the book is scary, man. The book is like, you hit the 50 and it's like, go for it on 4th and 12. And I'm going 4th and 12. You got like about a 15% chance to get that. So, I just think the days of doing it by the gut are pretty much over. And that's why Coach D's the head coach and the right guy for the job.
We're saying that, Coach D, he's only coached 11 games. Just what's it been like for you working with a new head coach?
Oh, he doesn't, he doesn't act like a new head coach. I mean, he's got a good handle on it. I've told you guys before, he's the right guy for the right time for how college football is. And I mean, he handles himself great. So no problem with that at all.
Madsen not taking sacks. How important is that in terms of not getting behind the chains and things?
Yeah. Let me put that in perspective. There's some crazy numbers out there. Our first offense in however many games we played, we have 4 sacks with our first offense. Our defense has 36 sacks. 4 against 36. That's crazy. San Diego State this week, number 3 in the nation, 28 sacks. We've given up 4 sacks. Now, our O-line does a good job. Ashton Jeanty, any NFL scout that was worried about his pass pro, turn on that last film, because he pass pro'd his tail off. Our tight ends, everybody's involved in pass pro, but we would have way more sacks if Mad Dog wasn't doing such a good job getting the ball out, deciding when to run. 2 of those 4 sacks were 1-yard losses that he started running up in the pocket, and he just, he got caught. So the 1-yard 2nd and 11 versus the 10-yard 2nd and 20, those make a huge difference in being behind the chains.
I know you had some penalties in that game, but for the most part, you guys don't have very many negative plays. How does that? It's common sense, I guess. But when you're not in 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13,
it's huge. No, it's huge. And you're right. We don't have very many. We don't have very many penalties. So when we do, we had 2 holds and 2 procedures. We'll take the aggressive holds. We'll take those over procedural. And but even on some of our holds that we've got this year, like we tell our guys, you got to know when to let go. There's holding every play, right? You got to know when to let go. But we are doing a good job of that, and we need to keep that up. I mean, every offense, you're playing to your strengths, you're hiding your weaknesses. We have weaknesses. We have strengths. We all know what those are. We have weaknesses. We try to hide our weaknesses.
What kind of a test will Trey White be for that line? You know, obviously the nation leader in sacking. What do you see that he does that gets?
He's relentless. Like he doesn't miss the ones he should get, right? He the ones that he should get, he gets, and he gives, you know, now that anybody, when they get to this point in the season, he has relentless effort. I mean, he knows when it's 2nd and 10, guess what? They're probably going to pass. On 3rd down, they get into some crazy fronts. They move him all over the place, and they try to get him isolated. They do a very nice job of that in their 3rd down package. I think this guy, he's obviously explosive, and he's strong, he's fast, but I'd say just a number one word for him is relentless.
Give us a little perspective on what UNLV, how focused they were on Ashton.
Yeah, they were, but so is everybody. You know, Hawaii was the week before that. I mean, that obviously, if you're playing us, that's the focal point for sure, and that's why we have to continue to improve our passing game. We have to continue to improve being able to hit our shots off of our run fakes. We have to stay ahead of the chain so we can stay in the run play action world. Like we're not built to be a 30-time drop back team. We're not like they are in the NFL. I watch. We get all these NFL cut-ups every week, and when I get towards the end of the week, there's hardly any play action in the NFL anymore. And again, they're paying these, we talked about this before, they're paying these quarterbacks $50-60 million. They're paying them to drop back and throw out of the pocket. We're not built that way. That's not the way. That doesn't give us the best chance to win. I'm not saying we can't do it, and there's going to come a time where we're going to have to do it. That's just not our best chance.
Yeah, so often how impressive Ashton is because he's got 259 yards, but how impressive were those 128 he had on 33 carries?
Yeah, no, we're all spoiled on, I think I counted either 6 or 7 runs where that last guy barely got him. And credit their 2 safeties. Their 2 safeties both did a good job of tackling 1 and 3 for UNLV. But the last guy got him. And then there was one time when Ash just fell down in the hole. You never see that. The turf monster got him that one. I mean, he was out the gate. That was going to be a 70-yard run, blocked perfect. And Ashton just tripped on the turf. That never happens. And then they got him. That last guy got him. So, this is, I think, the first game that he didn't have a 50-yard run, but there was 6 or 7 of them that were going to be 50-yard runs. And I got a feeling we're going to see him again sometime. I don't think we've seen the last one.
Ashton is so good up the middle where he gets a majority of his yards, but he's also got a lot of speed. Is there any temptation to get him on the outside and do more with that?
Yeah, there's a temptation to do a lot of things, but some of that's defensive structure. Some of that's how we get our blockers in position. What most teams are doing to us right now is they're kind of trying to squeeze us from the outside in. All right, so we're seeing edge pressure, wide ends trying to squeeze us down. That makes it a little tougher. We tried to get our screen game going. We haven't done a great job of that. That's something that we need to continue to develop. You saw, we finally got to it in the second half where we just free released him into the flat. He had to make a pretty good catch on that. I think we got a 6-7 yard gain, but there's other things you can do, but we're doing what we do.
So does that mean, like what you're saying is, because obviously if you don't set the edge against Jeanty, it doesn't even matter where you are on the field. He's gone. Like, are they doing more to try to set the edge where they're giving you more options up the middle? Or you're just taking what they're giving?
Well, I wouldn't say more options, because what they're trying to funnel us in to their safeties and or linebackers getting off blocks. I mean, on most plays we're trying to account for everybody except the corners, right? You can only block so many guys. They got one more than us because of the quarterback. We're not an option team. So we believe in making the corners tackle. So we're trying to get it where we can get to their safeties. They're trying to get it where they make us where we can't get to their safeties, and their safeties and their linebackers can get more involved. I mean, obviously every run play you're accounting for the linebackers. Not all run plays are you accounting for both safeties.
Feedback. I feel like probably the pivotal moment of that game was with a little over 2 minutes to go in the first half, and you guys got a 4th and short. And instead of kicking another field goal, you guys go for it and get it. Matt Louder makes a great catch. How crucial are those last 2 minutes? Because if you guys don't get that, UNLV gets get the ball there, and they get the ball to start the second half. I think it looked very different.
Yeah, that was a big turnaround there. That touchdown followed by the turnover, and So when Coach D had told us we were going to go, we were under 2 minute. We wanted to think, we were trying to decide between three different plays on that fourth down call. And I got to give Matt Miller credit. Matt Miller's the one that spoke up. I said, do we want this? Do we want this? Or do we want this? It was 2 passes and a run. And, usually when I say something like that on the headsets, it's dead silent. Nobody says anything. But Matt Miller, he jumped in there and he made the call, and it was the right one. And that play didn't work one time against the scouts last week. It didn't work one time like we thought it would. Our scout team covered it up, and then they bit the run fake, and Lauder was wide open in the back. Just like you draw it up.
Oh, man, what do you do? How we cost?
we did not want to give up. Some of those, I think I can help the guys with a little bit more, creating some more stimuli in practice, putting some more stress on guys. They did a nice job. They showed us a couple movers and shifts early, play that we had seen a bunch, but a move and shift. So just getting everybody settled down, playing their keys, communicating pre-snap, urgency in the pre-snap. Then I thought the guys settled in and played a really good rest of the half.
Is it a philosophy or a mindset, with the sack numbers you have, to maybe be more prone to giving up deep passes? I know you don't ever want to, but maybe philosophically, defensively, with who you blitz and whatnot, like you're going to give up more deep passes than most teams.
Yeah, it's kind of weird if you look at the numbers, right? Like based on explosive passes. Like we're sitting pretty good as far as the numbers concerned. The problem with ours has been when they've been explosive, they've been really explosive, which is the part that we've got to get fixed. And some of those are some tackling issues and those kind of things. But to your point, you do void some zones. Every once in a while, you put some guys in some man-to-man coverage when they are, bringing some pressure like that. The one, Alex Tubner had, the deep ball, like they had a better call right there than we did. But with that being said, Tubes can make that play 9 times out of 10. He does make that play. That was the one time he didn't. But they had a really good call on that play. And you will give up some things in some zones that are not there. But we would like to decrease those explosive passes.
What you guys are doing with the sacks in perspective? I mean, Dirk said, "Hey, our offense has been sacked 6 times, and our defense has 35 or whatever it is." I mean, I think last year you had 36 all of last season. You're already at 35. How do you? I mean, I know it's obviously the talent, the scheme, it all comes together. But I mean, how impressive that is in this gaudy number of sacks? How do you explain it?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I wish we had the ones that we missed as well. But it's credit to the kids, man. I love this group of kids. We have a long way to go. We're far from seeing our best football on defense, but I love this group of kids. They work really hard. They take hard coaching. They know I get upset sometimes even when I shouldn't, but they're an unbelievable group of kids. They work hard at the techniques. Every position comes and gets some of that blitz work with us. The pass rush fronts worked really hard on the pass rush technique. And it is a mindset that we're going to be aggressive and we're going to go after people and we're not going to back down. Especially with our offense being as explosive as they are, if we can get some sacks and get them the ball back and get some better field position, that helps everybody.
The numbers on this, but it seems like your non-D line sack, the number of sacks you're getting from non-D linemen just seems extraordinarily high. How do you? Obviously, that's talent, scheme, all that comes together. But how much that part of all this, where you're getting guys like Tubes and stuff, got his first sack the other night too.
Yeah, I think I've always believed, my job is to put them in the best position, create an environment where they can be successful, and then get out of their way. So we've got a group of kids that they embrace that. They want to be part of it. And then, like you guys mentioned at the beginning of the season, there's a lot of attention on Ahmed, and now JV's picking up some attention in the D tackles. So with all the attention going on those guys, we have a pretty good idea what the protection is going to be week to week based on what that team does and how they're going to protect some of our pass rushers that have the highlights. So there's room to get some other guys through some cracks, some weaknesses in protection. And I think we just take advantage of that.
You mentioned Jaden. He's getting better, it seems, every week. Just that 1-2 combo with Ahmed, just how dangerous is that?
Yeah, I mean, when you have 2 edge guys that are really going, obviously it's much harder to defend than when you have one. So, even though there was some flaws in what happened last week, I think Jaden Virgin Morgan has played his best football the last 2 weeks. Amarion McCoy played his best football last week. So guys are getting better and guys are practicing better. I think that's the main theme. Like the guys, and it pops up every week. The guys that practice really good seem to have the best games, and the guys that don't practice as well, whether they're injured or otherwise, they don't have as good a game. So Jaden Virgin Morgan, Amarion McCoy, they practiced really well last week. They played really well.
What was the game plan on Ricky White? That was the worst game he's had in a month.
Yeah, once again, we dedicated a lot of hats to some run game because I thought they had an extremely good run game. Amarion McCoy did a really, really nice job when he was alone on him for a lot of the night. And then we had some things in some passing downs that we were going to try to take him away, at least disguise the look pre-snap so that the quarterback was going to look away from him. But I think the kids just did a great job again, and I was proud of the effort they put against him because I think he's a fantastic player.
You mentioned McClay a couple of times. Just what can you say about him and the rest of the core as just their improvements across these last 7 games?
Yeah, I think that group has improved every single week. Another guy to mention, Devon Banks is playing his best football. He's played really well on special teams and on defense. Jeremiah Irby's growing every single week. He's played really good football. So proud of that group. Really thankful for Coach Warren. He's really done a nice job with that group the last few weeks.
Year, using Andrew as a pass rusher, and even this year for that matter too. But on that pick he had, like how much of a little change up was that for him to drop, and how good of a play did he make on that ball?
Yeah, really proud of Andrew for that because obviously he's a known pass rusher, right? And he gets to drop in that one, probably something that he's not fired up about. I'm sure he wants to go get the quarterback, and that was a technique that had been not executed properly by him earlier in the season, and it cost us a little bit. He worked very hard to get that technique executed. He practiced really well last week as well, but he worked really hard to get that technique executed, and it was a huge play in the football game.
He was kind of a step ahead, though. I mean, like the way that he broke on that ball and was reading eyes or what he was doing there, though. But, yeah, I mean, that to get it at that moment, too, was just massive for the team, it seemed like.
Yeah, and Andrew, you guys have seen him play for a long time. He's a natural football player. He's got natural instincts. So when you combine that with the proper technique, just good things happen. And unfortunately on that one, I think Tubes got his 15th tackle of the game, or else we might have had the first defensive touchdown.
With Shea, I don't know what his batting average is when you send him, but he seems to be getting home whenever he gets the ability, it seems like.
Yeah, he's an explosive player, and I think the combination of you're bringing some boundary pressure, you're bringing some field pressure, you're bringing some up the middle. Those quote unquote unknown rushers, they're all becoming a little known now, but those unknown rushers seem to have a way to get home. But he's slippery enough, and he can accelerate really quickly, so he's hard to pick up in protection.
Like how many different guys that you kind of sent or whatever, and I mean like. I don't know. I'm going to guess the UNLV was pretty much guessing the whole night with who was coming from where. How much did you find yourself in a little bit of a groove in the buttons you were pushing at times?
Once again, I think there's probably like 3 times a game as a defensive play caller where, like, when you call blitz, like, it can get picked up, it can get home. When you call one into a boot from the field, right? That's when, like, okay, you called the right call. That's like 3 times a game. The rest of the time, there ain't no magic. The magic is in those kids. And they execute, they operate, they do what we ask them to do, and they believe that it's going to happen when we call those pressures. So it's about them.
Cooper, the running back.
Yeah, I think he's a really good running back. We've seen some good ones this year. Obviously, we see a really good one every day in practice, but he's a really good running back. Hard to bring down, good contact balance, shifty. He's going to be a challenge.
In terms of how physical Tubner plays, how heady he is out there, he just got like a fun story about what he's doing in game or his communication with you or anything that just shows the level that he is at.
I don't know about a fun story, but I will tell you this: like when we tried a lot of green dots just to experiment as the new rule was coming in, and when Alex has the green dot on, like sometimes it, as a matter of fact, I might information overload him, but I feel like I can. Experimenting through the year, I can give him a ton of information. Other guys, you can't. They need what they need, and they need to go play. Alex can digest all that information. He's unbelievable football player. He watches more film than a lot of coaches. So he's exactly what you want to coach. The physicalness, sometimes I wish he wouldn't be so physical. I see the time like, please get up from that one. But it's fun to watch. And the way that you guys see him on Saturday is how he is on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. Like, that's just how he is every day.
Some players, like, you just enjoy watching, right? How much you enjoy watching him play football?
I love watching him. I love watching him practice football. I get to see a lot less than you guys do on game day because I'm watching sometimes where I think the ball's going to be or formational stuff, and I don't get to see everything, but I really like to watch him practice football.
You brought up Jeremiah Irby real quick, and I mean, just he kind of got off to a rough start this season. So to see him like have some resiliency and start to fight back and find his footing here these last couple of games.
Yeah, Jeremiah, he's just a guy that he got banged up a little bit in fall camp. He's fought his way back. He's rehabbed his butt off. He's great to be around. He's got a great attitude. He's got a smile on his face. He works hard, and he's just gotten better and better every single week. I think if he'd have been 100% healthy, you'd have seen a different Jeremiah Irby at the beginning of the year. Now he's back, and I think that he's only going to keep growing as we continue through the season.
Kind of a fun one here. Boise State on offense is 9 for their last 9 on 4th down. As a defensive guy, what would that do to you?
I mean, that's like the worst. Fortunately, we've been pretty good in short yardage this year, but defensively, like that's the down you don't want to be in. Like 4th and 1, they got we have a great offensive line. We have Ashton Jeanty. The sneak's always available. You sell out for that thing, and Dirk's shown some ability to throw some, movement passes. That's a nightmare. So it would be very, very frustrating. And that's a situation I do not want to be in a lot.
All right. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks, sir.